Remember when I said that I really like positions with a material imbalance? It's because they're just so interesting to play. There are different ideas for both sides, different shots to be taken, different, ways on how to evaluate such positions. But most of all, the reason why I like them is because when you look at the pieces, like especially the black rook and the knight on c4 out there, you'll get to realize that these pieces, the rook, the pawn, and the knight, they may have a different value as opposed to what their general value is. We call that relative value. So it doesn't really mean so much what the piece it generally is, but it matters what it will do, where it can go, what it can follow, and how powerful it can be. Regarding black's pieces right now, certainly with that rook on the g2, he doesn't seem like he's in a great condition to get so much, but we can still rely, though, on that powerful passed pawn, which is being supported by the knight, and perhaps even the rook at the right time. My major question is, alright, we get that rook, we get that knight, and we get that pawn. How do we make them work, though? Is there anything black can do to make that passed pawn and the rest of his pieces to connect and perhaps support that pawn promoting? We can definitely support that pawn in its way to promote at rook g3. This beautiful move doesn't just get ready for the rook to join the attack on the third rank, but it exploits the fact that white can't take on the rook, since after he takes it, black's got d2. And now, wherever the king moves, it really doesn't matter. Knight e3 is following, and black wins. He'll win the queen because of the d1 check, or should the king go to c2 and d1, knight e3 will come with an immediate fork. It's incredible that moves like that exist. We just have to think, what is the problem? The real issue is that d3 is attacked and e3 is controlled. We can resolve either of these problems with the rook to g3. Either fe3 will be free, or d3 will stand protected. Naturally, we should expect that white doesn't take the rook, but he makes queen h1, which however is met by d3. And at the time when the king goes to c2, black plays rook d3. That's simply beautiful. That move prepares d1 with a check, and the queen will be promoted. That ultimately means that if white plays with queen to the d1, rook takes d5, black's advantage causes no doubt. This simple way will be followed by c6, and then I suppose black just needs to find a way to get the h-pawn to move until it reaches h1, and white's queen will have to. It will be forced to move away. The other opportunity, naturally, is when the d2, king c3, rook to the d3 comes, essentially white can think about taking the rook. But that's not much of an assistance, really, because after d1 queen takes d1 and then knight b2 check, black is still winning. Yes, he lost the rook and the knight for the queen, but then we realize that black can actually create two passed pawns. He can play a move like h5, and he can start doing moves like b5. Like, for instance, king e2. Maybe you can do b5, king e3, king g7, king e4, king f6, f3, and after h4, or maybe after king f3, king f5, white's defense will collapse. And that's just because his pawn structure is quite terrible. He'd have to lose the pawn, and black has quite a few extra passed pawns so that he can win easily. King h4, and after king takes f4, and similar moves like king f3, white's just losing. He has no way to come in time, and by the time he gets ready to attack the pawns on the c7, black will just take those pawns in the center. And I just wanted to show, this is not something that you're supposed to calculate till the very end. I just wanted to show the effect of the attack and how sometimes by really pausing and thinking about, okay, what's the trouble right now? That is the attack on the d3, so how do I defend it? We can find a practical resource like rook g3. Once again, we're talking about coordination. That's an amazing feature in the endgames, by the way. You have to remember that.